Why is it that two people can make the same exact salary, have the same exact amount in saving, but one is totally calm and the other one is completely frazzled? It's because an emergency fund isn't just a pile of cash, it's a calculation of risk. If you're a homeowner, a parent, someone with a high deductible health plan, the standard advice that they give you for how much should be an emergency fund is actually setting you up to fail. Today, I'm going to give you a definitive formula to find your actual number, so you can stop guessing and start breathing again. In this video, I'm going to show you why the 369 rule is the safest way to determine your personal risk level, how to calculate your essential monthly costs so you aren't blindsided by monthly expenses, and the exact formula to find your target number so you can stop guessing and start working towards it. So before we look at the numbers, we have to talk about how we view safety. Think about it like this. If you live in a quiet, gated community, your security system might just be a deadbolt on your front door. It's simple, standard, and works for that environment. But if you live in a high foot traffic city center, you're probably going to want cameras, maybe a fence, even a monitored alarm. Neither person is wrong. They're just being appropriate for their environment that they're in. The problem is most financial experts try to sell us the same deadbolt, that generic 3-month rule. But if your life has more entry points for risk, like being the solo breadwinner of your house, or maybe driving an older car that has seen better days, that deadbolt is just not going to cut it. You're underprotected. We need to audit your personal risk before we ever set a savings goal. Because once you know the size of the storm that you're actually facing, you could build a house that actually stands up to it. So how do we start auditing that risk? It comes down to a simple framework, the 369 rule. Instead of just picking a number out of thin air, we're going to look at your life through 3 different risk profiles to see which one you actually fit into. Because let's be honest, your needs as a professional woman are very different from someone just starting their first job. First, let's look at the 3-month profile. This is low risk. You might fall here if you're renting, you don't have kids or dependents. Maybe you're in a dual income household where both of you have very stable jobs. So if one of you lost your job tomorrow, the other one could easily cover the mortgage or the rent. In that case, 3 months is a great lean target. But then if you move into the 6-month profile, this is where a lot more of my clients land. This is the moderate risk category. You may be a homeowner, which we all know means things just break. You might have kids, or you're in a highly specialized career where if you did lose your job, it might take a little longer than a few weeks to find a role that actually matches your current salary. For you, 3 months might feel like you're constantly looking over your shoulder. 6 months is where the breathing room really starts to kick in. And finally, the 9-month profile. This is high risk. And it's not a bad thing, it just means that your life has more variables in it. So maybe you're the solo breadwinner for your family, or maybe your income fluctuates month to month, so you don't have a guaranteed baseline. If you're also dealing with a high deductible health plan, 9 months isn't oversaving, it's being smart. It's making sure that a bad month or medical emergency doesn't touch your long-term stability. The goal here isn't to pick the best number, it's to pick the one that lets you sleep at night. But the thing is, a 9-month emergency fund could still fail you if the monthly number you're multiplying is wrong. But right now, you could pick your multiplier. That's the 3, the 6, or the 9. You decide which profile you're in. That's the number we're actually multiplying. Most people make the mistake of just looking at their rental mortgage, their groceries, calling it a day. But for a professional woman with a full life, that bare bones number is a trap. If you save just for the basics, you're going to be constantly dipping your emergency fund for things that aren't actual emergencies. They're just life. So I want you to look at your essential monthly costs. This includes your non-negotiables, obviously, but it also includes your annual but actual expenses. Think about the things that happen every year like clockwork, but don't show up on a monthly bill. I'm talking about your professional licensing fees, your car registration, the annual vet visit for your dog, or even seasonal spending like back to school. When these things pop up, they can feel like a crisis if you're not ready for them. But they aren't surprises. They're just parts of your calendar that we can actually plan for. So to get your true monthly number, you want to take those big annual costs, divide them by 12, and add that to your monthly survival total. That way, your emergency fund actually covers your whole real life and not just some watered down version of it. And a quick note here, this isn't a goal to set once and never touch again. As you move up in your career, you buy a home or grow your family, your essential number is naturally going to change. And that's okay. We're not aiming for a permanent, perfect goal. We're aiming for the target that you need right now in order to feel secure. Once you have that true monthly cost, we can move to the final formula. Now, if you're sitting here on Monday morning thinking this is a lot of math to start my week, don't worry. It's perfectly okay to start simple. If you take the monthly expenses, the true monthly expenses, and multiply them by the 3, 6, or 9 you chose at the beginning, that's a massive win. That gives you a clear target and instantly puts you ahead of most people who are just guessing. But if you're like a lot of my clients and you want that extra layer of I know I'm safe certainty, we can use a more specific formula. This increases your accuracy so that when a real emergency hits, you aren't just covered, you're comfortable. The formula looks like this. Your target equals your essential monthly cost times your multiplier plus a specific threat buffer. That threat buffer is the secret sauce. This is where you look at 1 or 2 things in your life that have the highest chance of causing a sudden big bill. For example, if you have a high deductible health plan, your buffer might be the exact number of that deductible, let's say $3,000. Or if you know your car is getting older and might need a major repair soon, you might add a specific $2,000 car buffer to the total. When you add that buffer, your emergency fund stops being this vague pile of cash and starts being a strategic defense. Suddenly, you're not just saving money, you're buying peace of mind. Having a definitive number changes how you feel about your finances. It moves you from a place of I hope I have enough to I know I'm prepared. And once that defense is built, you can breathe easier and go extra hard on investing more aggressively and your other spending or savings goals. Because you aren't playing defense anymore, you're playing to win. Now, knowing your number is one thing, but actually getting the cash into that account is another. If you want to hit this target faster so you can move on to the fun stuff like investing and traveling, you need to watch this video right here, where I give you 10 simple tips on how to save as much money as possible. Click here and I'll see you over there.